Well, welcome everybody to the Health Simplified podcast. This is our debut episode. We're so excited to bring this to you. This has been something we've been working on for the last couple of months. Today, all we're going to do is just kind of talk about a little bit about our stories and kind of what you can have to be excited about our podcast coming up, the Health Simplified podcast. So with that being said, Jennifer, when we were doing this, what was one of the reasons that we wanted to create this?
For me, the biggest reason why we wanted to create this was so that we could kind of cut through the BS on the internet, make sure that, everybody has an easy access to any health, including nutrition and strength training information that, you can find all this stuff in the internet, but you also have to wade through all the crap on there that isn't going to be beneficial for you. So we just kind of wanted to break it all down in a easy way for everyone to understand so you can get the right information. What about you?
Absolutely, yeah. That was one of the reasons that, I know we were on a plane from California flying back to Iowa. There's really not much to do in Iowa, so if you're in Iowa, just drive through it. Really, there isn't anything to do. But yeah, there's, yes, you can go online, you can look all this stuff up, but it doesn't make any sense. Prime examples, you'd be like, well, eggs are good for you, now eggs are bad for you. It's like, well, what is it, right? So, myself being a dietitian and personal trainer, I wanted to create something that, this podcast is going to build it out of 3 tenets. It's going to be simple for you to understand. It's going to be darn effective, and it's going to be fun. We're going to have fun because at the end of the day, if you can't have fun listening to a podcast, what are we doing? So we're going to myth bust. We're going to bring on some guests. We actually already have a guest in the works. That'll be episode number 2. We're going to share some of our stories. I know Jennifer has a very powerful story about how she was a kidney donor and how she lost 100 pounds.
Episode 3.
She lost 100 pounds to become a kidney donor for her brother, which is super powerful. And we're going to kind of talk about, what did she do at the beginning of her journey? And now what is she doing now to maintain the results? Because so many people can lose weight, but the magic is maintaining. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some of her struggles of, losing the weight. And we're also going to kind of open it up a little bit too about how there were some internal struggles with her in terms of going to the doctor, and about how BMI is bullshit. It 100% is. It's BS. And they're going to have an episode, her and I actually are going to have an episode just specifically around not bullshit, simply around BMI, right? And why I don't like it, and why I think for a lot of people it has created this negative connotation of going to the doctor. I almost said gym because we just came from the gym, right? The gym and nutrition is always on my mind. You can even ask her. We eat and breathe and live that stuff. But yes, why that's a potential barrier of going to the doctor, and maybe some conversations that you can have with your doctor to kind of help navigate through that, so you still can go, because there's a lot of value to going to a doctor, but sometimes the way they present some things can be very intimidating. I know we're kind of giving a little teaser here, but I remember us when we were going to one of your follow-up appointments to be a kidney donor. You were a little bit anxious. Kind of walk us through that.
Yeah, anytime I would have to get a call from them and saying, hey, we need to do another test, we need to do a follow-up, we've got an appointment coming up, it's always, okay, great, I'm going to walk into that office. The first thing they're going to want to do is have me step on a scale. And it just ties into that whole BMI is BS thing. They had me get down to a certain BMI and weight. And the second that I got to that, they're like, oh, sorry, that's not enough. We're going to drop the requirement a little bit further for you. So, that'll tie into our BMI episode, as well as my kidney episode in a couple weeks. So I guess, the first thing that we'll get on to is why we founded this company, why Nate founded this company a couple years ago, especially touching on, his SEF approach.
Yeah, SEF approach. So it's simple, it's effective, and fun. And I always make a joke, it's got to be simple, because if it's not simple, you're not going to follow it. If it's not effective, you're going to fire me, right? I'm going to be fired, right? We're not going to work together as a client and dietitian trainer relationship. And if it's not fun, what the hell are we doing, right? I looked at social media, and one of the reasons I created it, and then now for us, we have decided to bring our brand. It's not just me anymore. it's not just me anymore in terms of creating this company. Now we have created it as one of myself and Jennifer to really, we want to touch more lives. Her story's powerful, my story's powerful, and instead of just, just having one, this is why I created it. So it started back in 2019. I was going through my internship, and not to discredit any dietitians in clinical, but that just wasn't me. I'll never forget, I was giving some diet education, and I had to go in there so excited. I had this cool little packet, and I was like, I had the clipboard. I'm like, yes, and then I'm gonna go highlight a thing. I remember giving it to this guy. We had a really good conversation, and I did the textbook. I had the dietitian right in front of me, and she's like, you got 5s on everything. Well, I had to go back into that patient's room. I found out it was in the trash, and I said every 4-letter word in the book. I was like, I'm never bleeping doing this again. I'm never gonna be a clinical dietitian, and I'm gonna go into private practice. And I got onto social media that same day, and it was interesting because then I saw someone selling Fit Tea, and then I saw another person that was less qualified than me who was working with people. I was like, this is absolute BS. If they can do it, so can I. And so through mentorship, and getting connected with my mentor now, Tony Steffen, he helped me really create a system and a program that's been very effective for a lot of clients. But I was just so tired of watching people get taken advantage of on the internet. Buy my Fit Tea, buy my this, buy my that, do a greens, detox, whatever, right? Go to Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, your family. I don't really care what it is. I got sick and tired of people getting sold this short-term solution, when exactly what you need is you need a long-term solution. Yes, any idiot on the internet, yes, anybody on the internet can get you to lose weight. But the magic in what I have created, now we've created, is getting you to reach your health and fitness goals or weight loss goals. The reason I decided to attack weight loss was because I felt like so many people were getting taken advantage of. And it kind of ties into her story where she ended up doing keto, right? Mm-hmm. Promises great results, right? Early on, you're down like 10, 15 pounds and you're losing all this weight very, very fast.
But then you gain it all back.
Because you were some. Yeah, plus some, right? Because you were not given a solution. They pretty much gave you a Band-Aid, right? Mm-hmm. It's a Band-Aid to what you really needed was that long-term solution. And that's where I decided to bridge the gap between the short-term solution and giving you something that's simple, effective, and fun. That's how I created the approach. And working with clients as a personal trainer and now as a dietitian, this is kind of the method that I have created. And we do this method, right? We are a firm believer of, we have to be leaders, and I want to be a leader, in this space, in the fat loss space, and teaching you that you don't have to diet to lose weight. You don't have to eliminate all your favorite foods to lose weight. It's all about teaching you that moderation concept and really getting down to that root cause of why you've not been able to reach that weight loss goal. And it comes in with mindset. It comes in with preconceived, I call them limiting beliefs, in terms of you don't think you can do something because somebody told you that you couldn't. So now you're programmed to think that, I'm just broken because I can never reach my weight loss goal. Or I saw it time and time again. Well, everybody was, you're yo-yoing. Like, you're going to gain weight and then you're going to lose weight. You're just going to go into this vicious cycle of you're going to cut out your favorite foods, you're going to cut out food groups, you're going to start over on Monday because it's like, it's the weekend, right? I'm going to go do whatever I want on the weekend. And we always have that, I'm going to restart. And to be completely honest with you, I used to have that mentality. 20 to 23-year-old Nate I did some dumb stuff. Let me tell you what. And we're gonna unpack all the dumb stuff that I did. And again, it was necessary because if I wouldn't have done all those things, I wouldn't have been able to create this program that I'm using with all my clients today, and they're having amazing success, amazing results. And you're not having to spend hours upon hours working towards health and fitness goals. You're able to work on this with maybe 15 to 20 minutes a day, if that, creating it around the busy professional in mind. And that's just kind of what caused me to create that. What other things do you want to highlight? I know I know it's been over a year that we've kind of been doing some of this, but What are some things you want to highlight that you've seen?
One of the biggest things you kind of already highlighted again is you don't have to cut out all of your favorite foods. You don't have to completely change up your entire life and just go through all your cabinets and throw everything away. I can't tell you how many times we'll sit down, we'll be eating a crumble cookie, and or this weekend we went to hoo-ha and we still stayed on track. The biggest thing that we want to cut out is you don't have to become a complete robot and only eat chicken and rice and broccoli to meet your weight loss goals. You don't have to do all that crap to get gains in your muscles or in the gym or whatever your goal is. You can still enjoy your life without having to sacrifice your goals. And I think that's something Nate's really helped me out with since we've gotten together. Like he highlighted, I did keto because that was the biggest fad at that time. And yes, I'll tell you, I did lose the weight, but the second that I stopped, I gained it all back plus, so it's hard, society has trained us all to go into the fad diets and we yo-yo our weight. And that's how they get you on all these crappy supplements and like I said, the fit teas, the greens. Oh, don't get started on greens. The weight loss pills, meal replacement shakes, just all that crap. You can get your goals without sacrificing having a fun life. I guess that's the biggest thing that I've learned in our time.
Yeah, and that's really one of the kind of things that I highlight is that they shouldn't feel like a chore. Again, you're gonna have to do some work, right? Mm-hmm. Anything worthwhile doing requires work, but it shouldn't be this continuum of always having to work at it every single day, right? Like we spend time doing the same system, and we maybe spend maybe five-ish minutes a day, maybe 10 minutes thinking about it, and it's a really simple conversation we're gonna have for dinner. Or what are we, or whatever. It's super easy, right? That's kind of where I felt I saw a gap in what people need. You don't need another meal plan. You don't need another supplement. You don't need another person telling you that you're broken because you can't follow X protocol. Because congratulations, you're human. And you don't need someone to tell you that if you follow this 1000% perfect, you're going to reach your goals. No, you need something that's adaptable and flexible to you, and that's going to take your needs into account. That's going to take your lifestyle into account. That's willing to work with you and work through any preconceived notions that you have about dieting, about nutrition, about training. Because I hate to break it to you, but you go to Instagram, you go to Snapchat, you go to TikTok, you go to Facebook, you go to your family member, you go to X, Y, and Z, right? And everyone's making this out to be such a complicated process because at the end of the day, it's because they're trying to make money. Mm-hmm. And for me, I'm just trying to give you a solution that you can do for the rest of your life. Yes, you're going to work with me probably for 6 to 12 months, maybe a little bit beyond. It really depends on your goals. But at the end of the day, think of it, it's not Weight Watchers where you invest in myself, and as long as you're paying a monthly fee, you have access to this cool little device that teaches you how to do Weight Watchers points. And we're going to talk about Weight Watchers in another episode of why I think that's absolute BS. Because it's okay, cool. So this is 1 point. This is 0, a 0 point food. What is a 0 point food? Can someone explain to me that? If you're someone that's a Weight Watchers person, or can you explain to me what 0 point food is? And that's the problem, because it's telling you that there's good foods and that there's bad foods. And we're going to, in an episode, we're going to break down some of those barriers of why you have these preconceived notions of why a food's good, why a food is bad, and I'm going to help you absolve that mindset, because that's a huge reason on why most people from year in to year out cannot reach their goals, because of that mindset. Because they're oh, well, I had the cookie, and then the cookie turns into 5, 6, or 7 cookies. I've seen it. My family does it every year. You would, being a dietitian, you'd think that my family would be they're going to listen to my advice. Absolutely not. It's actually worse. It's a fun fact, actually. But again, it's because everybody is programmed these short-term solutions. Everybody's programmed from the media, because you can't go to the grocery store, go to anywhere, look at magazines, look at anything. You're going to see lose 20 pounds in the next how many
4
weeks?
weeks.
4 weeks. I'm like, what BS is that? Yeah, you're going to lose that, but you're going to feel miserable. And that's kind of what I wanted to, when I created, in addition to creating the podcast, but create a system, I was like, well, what if it didn't have to be that way? What if, because at the end of the day, remember, if you gain 30 pounds, you didn't gain, or 50 pounds, you didn't put it on in a couple weeks, so what makes you think that you're going to take it off in a couple weeks? So what I was thinking, there's got to be an easier way to do this. There's got to be a way that you can still lose weight and not have it feel like a chore. And there are going to be ups and downs, but make them where they're very manageable, where you don't feel like you're a failure, because it's the last thing that you need. The last thing that you need is to feel like you're a failure. There's enough places on the internet that unfortunately is telling us that, and putting these unrealistic expectations on your health. And the other thing that I felt that was a huge need that I wanted to bridge the gap was this whole like no days off nonsense. Like if someone tells you that you need to work out every day or you should never take a day off from the gym, unfollow them, and absolute bullshit. It is. It's
Don't listen to them.
Don't listen to them. Again, because it's not true. This whole grind, right? Like you gotta grind every single day. Yeah, 100%. Like the grind is real, but like it's not like they're portraying it. They're making it out to be this thing that's so hard. And I think at the end of the day, what I also saw too is that everybody's put weight loss on this like pedestal of it's like the hardest thing in the world to do. It is a hard thing to do, but it's not as hard as everybody else is making it out to be. It's just the communication and the message that's been given to you has pre-programmed you to think that it's hard. And we actually right now we're actually on a cut. I've got 8 pounds left to go, and then you have, I think it's 10.
Yep.
You have 10 pounds left to go. And let's highlight from your experience. Has it been hard, really?
I mean, so the biggest thing, one thing we also highlight is, for women, it can be a little bit harder to lose weight just because of our hormones. And that's why Nate sometimes you specialize in helping women because, it may be cut dry easy to lose weight by restricting your calories or by going to the gym all the time and doing cardio, but like you also have to take into account that at the beginning of your cycle you're going to gain water weight, you're going to see that scale go up, you're going to get discouraged, but like you have to sit back for a second and realize you're not gaining 5 pounds of fat at the beginning of your cycle. Like, wake up. Like, it's normal. It's in women's hormones. So just kind of learning that like you can do everything right, but there are factors outside of just restricting your calories and doing an hour of cardio that will affect your weight. And also getting away from just the number on the scale. Like how well is your clothes fitting? Are you sleeping better? Do you have more energy during the day? We're trying to get everybody away from just focusing on that number because it's not healthy for you, for your mental health.
Absolutely, yeah, and we're gonna have an episode that's gonna cover a couple tips of how to absolve yourself from just being just thinking the scale is the end all be all, which is not, right? Unfortunately, the medical field, and I'm not saying that, I'm not making fun of them, I'm just saying how it is. Unfortunately, the medical field has made the weight for a lot of us, females, males, predominantly females, unfortunately, at the end all be all, right? But unfortunately, that's not the truth. That's 100% not the truth, and through mindset work, definitely going to help you overcome that. But kind of as we wrap up this episode, we'd like to kind of keep these 15 to 30 minutes long. Sometimes they go 30 because we have a guest. Sometimes they go longer because if the guest speaker I have is just giving us a lot of value, I'm not going to be like, oh, nope, 30 minutes or stop. But to kind of highlight just some of the things that we're super excited about is, we're going to share our personal stories. I'm going to have her go first because her story is super powerful. Then the next week, I'm going to go. So this episode is just an intro, kind of give you guys a teaser of what's coming, a little bit of kind of why we created this podcast, why I created Schwartz Fitness, the Schwartz Fitness approach, the Seth approach, and what there's to be excited about coming along the pipeline We have a guest speaker. I did a great, awesome podcast with him the other day. That's going to be the next episode, and that's going to be Jennifer's story. You're not going to want to miss that. You're not going to want to miss the guest. Then we're going to share my story. I wanted hers to go first because her story just like it blows mine out of the water, right? Like I thought mine was a pretty powerful story, but hers is very, very powerful. And then after that, we're gonna be covering things on mindset. We're gonna be covering things on fitness, nutrition, and everything in between, or anything else that we feel is relevant information to give to you so you can see success. And we're going to do it in a manner that's simple, that's effective, and that's fun. And that is one of the biggest reasons that we created this podcast. So as we kind of wrap up here, is there anything else you want to add?
The only thing I'll add is come back next week for a great episode. We've got Will on the podcast. So I'm excited to get this started with everyone.
Absolutely, yeah. And I want to thank you all in advance, everyone who is going to be listening to this podcast. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I cannot wait to be dropping value after value to you guys. She can't wait to be giving you guys just a tremendous amount of value. This is a podcast that if it's, if you're listening to it on Spotify, you're listening to it on YouTube, you're listening to it on Apple Podcast, you're definitely going to want to bookmark it, like it, save it. If you're subscribe from YouTube, definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel. In addition to the podcast, we have great nutrition content that's coming down the pipeline. You're definitely not going to miss that channel. It's going to be phenomenal. Mm-hmm. This is going to be the year that we're going to really transform that channel into something really, really good and really, really great. And with that being said, everybody that's listening, take care and have a phenomenal rest of your day.
Bye, guys.